This is Broken Neck Radio, metal that makes you want to break shit.
Hello, listeners of Broken Neck Radio. This is DJ Zang here. I have on the line with me, I have Mr. James Rivera. He is the vocalist for the band Helstar. James, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful, man. Doing wonderful. I guess right now I would say I would love to be up there. I'm pretty sure the weather isn't as shitty as it is down here.
Yeah, we're sitting at about, I believe it's around 28 degrees Celsius. I'm not really sure what that is in Fahrenheit.
Oh, I didn't know you guys did it like the Euros, too. I thought it was degrees for you guys, too, but that's odd, yeah. Oh, well,
yeah, no, up here in...
Probably comfortable.
Yeah, no, up here in Canada, we're liters and the Celsius as well, not the Fahrenheit.
All right, awesome.
So I'll get on here for you. So I'm going to start things off now. Which band musically introduced you to heavy metal?
Good question. Well, I would say it was a tie for... well, no, that's not correct either. I mean, because it's, that's a broad horizon, I mean, for me to say Alice Cooper, which really Alice Cooper was hard rock, shock rock, but, he's still considered a heavy metal icon. He fell into that bracket eventually, just because he was just so way ahead of his time, but he would be the first one that got me. He would be the first one to say that got me into the darker version of rock music. But to pinpoint it exactly, so that heavy metal, I would have to say it was like it was a tie between the very early UFO and the very early Scorpions.
Mm-hmm. Now, at what age did you notice you were starting to, we all have that certain age, where we begin to listen to music what our parents first introduced us to. What age did you start to notice, though, that your music tastes were starting to go on to more of the heavier side?
What age was I?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's about right. It was about 10 or 11.
10 or 11, eh?
Yeah.
That's about the same for me.
Yeah.
Now, as a vocalist and a musician, were you professionally trained or self-taught?
I was self-taught until self-taught up to the first album. After the first album, then I did start taking some professional training just to figure out what the hell it was I was doing, and learn how to do it correctly if this is what I wanted to do. So yeah, but I was self-taught up, for the first album. And then after the first album, I did take lessons once, and then from there I just kind of went off on my own.
Well, during those transitions from when you were self-taught, going into, taking the vocal training, and then, of course, continuing on after those albums, was there any particular vocalist in the industry that you kind of sort of looked up to, kind of maybe drew some influence from?
Well, yeah, of course, Ronnie James Dio, and, Rob Halford, Klaus Maney, but more than likely, but Dio was a big influence for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have any rituals? Because, you get quite the vocal, I really enjoy your vocals. And is there any rituals that you do prior to going on stage to help, maintain your vocal cords?
There's just certain things I do, especially when I'm on tour. Certain gargles that I do, and a sleep pattern that's very important, which I love. So, basically I must have been a cat in my past life because I can do that for hours. Basically little warm-up things that I do before I sing. But the most important thing is sleep, and these certain gargles that I do, before I go to bed or when I first wake up in the morning, that kind of thing. And I've just been lucky that over the years, my voice was the opposite of most people that have been doing it this long. It's gotten stronger rather than weaker, and so that part I can't really say why that's happening. That's just some kind of a weird magical thing, I guess. I don't know, but on a scientific level, I do know why I can at least make it last through a tour without losing it, or no matter how many shows there are, I can do 5, 6 in a row without a day off.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know most recently in the news they were talking about Rob Zombie actually had done a post because he was at, I believe it was Rockfest, and he actually got, I believe it was between 2 to 3 songs, and he had to actually leave because his vocal cords, he couldn't even talk, like he couldn't even go on the microphone to tell people what was going on. As a fellow vocalist, and my point though, the question is, what I'm going to ask you is, a lot of the internet, you know how the internet is, and they were laying into him pretty hard, but as a vocalist, what would you say, like what would your thoughts be on that as a vocalist and any musician and an artist?
What, as far as like what he had to do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it happens. It's a horrible situation. I've never been in that position except for maybe once in my life. I had tonsillitis, right, and there's nothing I could do. But I did the show. I just sang everything Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, style, I guess. But it was, the club owner and everything had even announced it to the crowd, so I did it to go out there and attempt to pull off the show. But it happens, but I think that, if he was in a point that medically he just couldn't do it, there's nothing you can do to blame him for it, I mean, that's odd that would happen to him,
Well, yeah, that's what I was confused when I had seen it. But now, the new album, This Wicked Nest, came out on April 25th. And how has this album cycle been? I mean, we're already a few months into that cycle. How's it been for you guys for the band?
Well, so far it's been going great. All the reactions we're getting is, really good. And, it's basically an album, I think, that a lot of the diehard Helstar fans have been waiting for a long time. But the reaction's been really good, and where we've been doing some shows all around it, based around the whole release of it, and we're surprised that some people have even said that it's probably one of our best records, even because a lot of people are still, there's a lot of people that are still very hung up on the 4 classic records that we did back in the 80s, and one in particular, but there's been some people saying that they think it definitely is even one of the best that we've done so far, so it's kind of a good thing, to hear that.
Are you finding it like, for bands like yourself that have been around for so long, are you finding that to be normal a lot of the times, that a lot of the diehard fans are having a hard time letting go of that era? Like, you think of ones like, just off the top of my head, Metallica, right? I mean, you talk to any of their fans, and there's a large proportion of them that, still haven't really gotten past, Master of Puppets or And Justice for All. Are you finding that with Helstar as well, being around that long, that they're just not letting go?
No, not to that point, because we never really steered away from what we really were. What we really were was never acceptable to the mass listeners anyways. We've always been the kind of band that was appealing to a certain kind of listener, and we were more of a musician band. The only thing that was different for us is that when we reunited in 2006, we all had grown for the last 15 years musically as well, and other things that had come across the table as far as our listening pleasures, besides, at the time when we were writing records, we basically had Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and, so basically, that was our influences completely. Well, now, 15, almost 20 years later, another whole surgence of metal came through that we all adapted to as well, because we have an open mind, so it just got heavier and darker. And so that was a little bit of a shock to some of the people that were so used to this neoclassical, very polished sound that we had in the 80s, but also that sound that made us who we are. So, but it was never nothing drastic like, oh, you guys just completely just blew it. Now, and some of those bands, I'm not going to mention, well, you mentioned one of them, but no, they changed completely to the point where it was almost like, okay, just unacceptable for what they lived up to before in the past,
Now, the album cover, that's really something else. Did you want to give a quick shout out to the artist who created that album cover?
Oh, yeah, my buddy Johan, man. He's in Germany, so I don't know if he's listening, but he might be. But, he did a great job on that. We've had Scully incorporated in the last few albums and few things that we've done, and he just redefined him, though, kind of more in his own way. And, but he did an awesome job on that.
So what came up first? His art, like his artistry, or the name of the like? Did he pull the name, like use the name of the album in order to come up with that?
Well, I gave him the pretty much the concept of what I wanted for the cover. Period. You know. So, but yeah, the title had a lot to do with it, and then my idea of what I kind of wanted to see, in a sense, and then we wanted. But he actually came up with the whole suit and everything, which really took it to another level that I wouldn't even expecting that. So, but that was really cool, So, but he did pretty much creatively go on his own, after I told him exactly what I was looking for, sort of.
And I also found the helicopters with the spotlights and the missiles coming out of the sides was quite very.
He did a lot of weird, cool little detail stuff in that. That just I didn't even expect all that. You know what I mean? So, but that was pretty cool that he did all that. He did an awesome job.
Now, in your vast career, you've been around for a while. You've been in a lot of cover bands. Is there a specific draw to those cover bands?
The one that I do is it's a tribute to Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, the Dio years, and it's worldwide now. So I have 9 chapters total. So, I have 4 in Europe and 6 in America now. So, but it keeps me busy in between Helstar. So, and it's not just a cover band. So it's not like I go do shows and then I do sets like a typical cover band would do at a bar or a club. It's still an actual headlining national type show. So when I do Judas Sabbath shows, they're 2 hours long, and it's, I don't go take breaks like, most cover bands is what they do. This is not the same thing. And it's quite an intense ride because of the way that I do it. I mix the 2 artists. I don't do like one set. I don't do like 1 hour of just Sabbath and then switch it to Priest. It's mixed. So it's kind of it's got a good flow to it.
Do you ever throw any Helstar songs in there?
It depends. It depends where I'm at and what musicians I'm playing with. But yes, that has come up quite a bit. A lot of times I do close the night with one of our songs just for the fans' sake.
Now, tell us some of the band influence, both metal and non-metal.
For Helstar or for me?
Yeah, for Helstar.
Oh, well, for Helstar, it's definitely, Maiden, Priest, Sabbath, Dio years, Scorpion, Angel Witch, stuff like that. Non-metal, I really don't know because, we're all 5 individual people. But if I was to speak for myself, I'm totally into Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett and Engelbert Humperdinck's one of my favorite singers, So you see, it's kind of different. And for me to honestly say, I don't know what Larry's non-metal stuff was, and I can kind of get an idea, but classical music maybe, But yeah, so that just goes to show a wide variety of. And here's a good example. I think I can safely say that every one of us in Helstar, for sure, have always been a big Journey fan. So, and that's non-metal, so.
Who isn't, though? Who isn't a Journey
exactly.
fan? Right?
Who isn't? And, what musician isn't? That's the thing, so.
Now, you guys have been, toured quite, extensively all over the world pretty much in your careers. Is there any city that's been your craziest? And is there any place that you haven't played that you would like to play?
Yeah, but of course there's no metal there, but I would love to play in Iceland. Although I do know of a band that did go there, but of course there's not a real big demand there, but that's just a country that I would love to visit before I die. But no, we would love to go to Australia and New Zealand area, which we're working on for the new year. That would be a nice dream accomplished. It used to be Tokyo, but I finally did do that once. And then, of course, I think the other passion we have is to go to South America for sure. We know that Brazil and all those areas are huge for heavy metal too. So, what
about up here in Canada?
Well, yeah, I've played Canada already, so I've been there, done that. I love it. I love Canada. I had a great show in the Montreal area, but now they just made it so difficult for American artists to go up there that it's like everybody's just kissing that idea goodbye.
Now, living or dead, past or present, who would you love to share the stage with?
Well, let's see. Well, Dio. Yep, Dio.
Now, lastly, and most importantly, zombie apocalypse hits. Who in the band dies first?
What's that?
I said a zombie apocalypse hits. Who in the band dies first?
Who in the band dies first? Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I would probably have to say Garrick, our bass player, because he's young and naive. We'd be more on the we're veterans. Yeah, I guess if we had to put it that. I guess you know what? You're right. And then do another imaginative version of what we consider a zombie apocalypse. We could say the music business, and we're well-seasoned veterans and know the evilness and the dirtiness of it. That a lot of those things that come our way. Yeah, we know how to shoot him right in the head right away and get rid of him, whereas he would be gobbled up alive. So does that make sense if you put it in that perspective? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Now, as I said earlier on, you've been around for a while doing this. Now, back in '88, you had your breakthrough album there, A Distant Thunder. Any fond memories from back then during that album cycle that you maybe want to share with any up and coming bands? Maybe throw them some advice.
Well, it was it was exciting for us to get signed to Metal Blade. I think the one cool thing about it was that the band got to relocate to California for a whole year, and we lived out there for a good while before that album came out. And I guess the other good thing, the fond memories of that album in particular was, yes, it was the first album that took the band for the first time overseas. So yes, there's a lot of fond memories of that album, in particular, and the year and the things that it did. But basically that's what it was the first album to take us overseas, and and I guess that's just a point to prove persistence eventually pays off. As long as you stick to what you know and write music that that you love for yourself first before anybody. Otherwise, it's kind of like that's why we've been lucky that we've always been able to just do what we want to do musically. The whole thing, the whole chemistry, and the whole secret behind Helstar, just delivering better and better albums every year, is because everything we write, we love it first. We don't care who loves it, but we have to love it. And it's kind of, and then that's almost like common sense. If you don't love yourself, who else is going to love you?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just a miserable person then. You know what I mean? So yeah, and we don't want to be miserable with our music, so we want to make sure we love it. And then we go, well, we're pretty sure the fans are going to love it. I hope so. And that's usually our attitude, and it usually does work.
All right. Well, thanks again for taking this time to hang out with us. Again, this is James, the vocalist for Helstar. Their new album, This Wicked Nest, came out on April 25th. Make sure you head out and pick that up. Is there anything you want to say to the listeners that are going to be attending the next Helstar show?
Oh, yeah, man. We're looking forward to it. And, the next Helstar show is a big one here in our hometown in Houston with Queensryche at the Arena Theater. We want to say thanks for following us for all these years and showing the people around here, and proving the point that the bigger promoters and all that finally have taken notice that, that they've got a gem sitting right here in their backyard.
All right. Thanks again. And good luck on the rest of your shows.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it.